Let's start by showing us Wave, who is throwing most of his tech gear out because he is mad about the fact that he lost the midterm exam to Pang. The episode takes us back in time, and we see Wave in 8th grade and his math teacher asking him to solve an equation on the board. Wave says he can't solve it, and the teacher insults him by saying he is stupid. Wave says he can't solve the equation because the teacher has made some mistakes in the variables prior to the end result, and goes on to correct the problem. But the teacher says it's wrong and calls him stupid, which makes the whole class laugh at him. Back to present. A person in a hoodie breaks into the administration office and breaks some stuff, which makes everybody think that it was Wave who did it. Namtan has become a closer friend to Wave, and he shares more of his backstory with her, saying that another teacher at his school, Miss Nara, believed in him and told him he is not stupid. She went as far as to help him in writing a thesis that would earn him a place in a scholarship program for college. Pang asks Namtan if she thinks Wave was the one who broke into the office, and Namtan says she will do some investigation on him. Namtan speaks with Wave again, and the latter completes his story. He says that he was actually tricked by Miss Nara and he wrote her thesis, which she used for herself and gave him no credit. He tried to tell everybody that Miss Nara is a liar, and she tricked him, but nobody listened and they all considered him a stupid boy that was lying. He furthermore says that was the incident that made him understand that his words don't count. Namtan touches his arm and her superpower is activated, which allows her to take a glimpse at Wave's past. She asks him if he got Miss Nara fired, and Wave replies yes. He exposed her secret and made copies of her fake diploma and shared it with the whole school. Finally, Wave says it's a good thing that Namtan saw his past, because she now knows she cannot mess with him. Wave has hacked into her phone, and he knows about the texts she exchanged with her friends, saying that she would investigate him. At the same time, we see that a group of other students were the ones that broke into the administration office, and not Wave himself, although there is a hint that indicates that the group of students who entered the office were motivated by a challenge in an app that could have been developed by Wave. A recorded message starts playing through the speakers in the entire school, announcing that the day of the purge is upon them. It has also revealed that Wave is indeed the person who is hiding behind that mysterious app that uses the science of dopamine spiking to make the students do more and more daring tasks. Wave manipulates the students and also tricks the group of the gifted students and locks them into a court, announcing that he has prepared some fun games for them. However, Mon is not going to take any of it and she breaks the door open. The gifted students decide to split up and look for Wave, while Pang instructs Pun to try and copy Wave's abilities so he can reverse the hack or spot Wave. To make things more intense, there is a countdown clock running in Wave's app which is threatening to reveal the secret of the gifted program. Wave is watching over all of the gifted students through the CCTV cameras, and he manages to split them up by locking them in different rooms. Mon walks to the school cafeteria and Wave shows up right there, which makes Mon think he is quite stupid to have a go against her. However, Wave has other plans and tells her he knows about her sweat and pheromones and that she is responsible for the mess that happened in the gym incident. He threatens her that her secret is going to be revealed if she doesn't do what he says to stop Pun and Pang. Mon joins Pun and Pang and knocks Pun out. She pleads Pang to give her the computer and stop the reversal of the hack, but before that happens, Pun gets up and copies her skills. They have a good fight even though Mon knocks him out again, but thankfully, Teacher Palm cuts the lights. However, Wave has taken his countermeasures and he runs his own Wi-Fi generator which produces a new network. All of the students connect to that network but Namtan, who had previously been trapped on the roof, helps her friends find Wave and stop him. Wave has lost once more to Pang, and that makes him go out of his mind and attack him. By the end of the episode, they have a short chat with each other and Pang tells him his opinion about the school, stating that he hates the way they break them up into gifted and non-gifted students. Wave says he hates the schooling system and he feels like he is being used. Finally, Pang tells him that they can do something about it if Wave chooses to work with him. The headmaster pays a visit to the class of the gifted students, and he gives them an assignment for which they need to write what they think their mission as gifted people is. Mon raises her hand and asks him if one can remove their ability or make it disappear, and that makes Teacher Palm irritated, but the headmaster tells him it's okay, and he answers to Mon by saying that if someone really wants to remove their ability, they can do so. Claire meets with Pun, and they comment that they are spending more time together now that Pun is not doing all of those activities he used to. Claire also comments something about Korn, saying that she noticed he emitted an orange color when Mon asked the headmaster about the removal of their abilities. A few moments later, Korn and Mon are in Palm's office, and they sign 2 resignation papers since they want to drop out of the program and have their abilities removed. Palm lowers his head and Korn tells him this is not his fault. It is their own decision. Korn and Mon see the headmaster and he injects a serum in them, saying that this serum is going to make their brains balance their chemicals and they will return back to normal. Meanwhile, Pang meets with Wave, and they both say they are not going to fill their assignments. They both have some nasty feelings towards the headmaster, and they agree to work together and take him down. Palm lets the headmaster know that some of the students don't want to do the assignment because they feel their powers are a burden, and the latter replies that Palm needs to be more decisive with the students and put them in line. Wave and Pang try to gather some info about the headmaster, but they are unable to find any dirt on him. However, they mention that people who are involved in incidents centered on the gifted students seem to forget everything about them, just like losing their memories. Wave says that memories can be restored just like with computers, and they split up to look for information. Since Namtan has been involved in such an incident and lost her memory about it, Pang uses his power on her and tries to make her remember, which partly works and she is able to give him some information. Wave is looking for further information in Miss Lotta's office, but he almost gets caught. Later on, Wave receives a text message that tells him to be in the cafeteria at midnight. Wave and Pang are there when the time comes, but Wave hurts himself and has to go, leaving Pang alone. Miss Lotta walks in the cafeteria and leaves a folder for them, which is picked up and viewed by Pang. Pang runs after Miss Lotta and asks her why is she doing this and giving them the folder, as well as if she has special abilities like him, and she replies she is just a normal person who knows what's going on. When Pang returns in his room, he finds Palm waiting for him right there and looking at the board of clues they have compiled for the headmaster. Palm says the headmaster was right and he is too soft towards his students. Pang asks for a moment to explain himself, but Palm tells him the only thing he should be doing is studying rather than poking his nose around. Palm asks Pang to hand him the folder, and Pang utilizes that opportunity to get closer to Palm. Right before he hands the folder over, he tries to grab Palm's hand and use his power to put him under his spell, but Palm is quicker and snaps his finger to use his own ability, which immediately stuns Pang. When Wave comes in the room, all the clues are gone and Pang is just standing there in a daydreaming state. Wave wakes Pang up and Pang says he only has memories until the moment he walked into the room. Thankfully, Wave has installed a secret mini camera and he plugs it in his computer, where they are able to see that Palm snaps his fingers and stuns Pang. Then, he touches Pang's head with his hand and erases the moments the two of them spent together, while he also removes Pang's school pin from his chest. Wave and Pang state they need to get that folder back. The next day, the Minister of Education has a meeting with the headmaster, while Palm announces the final exam of the gifted program. The students have to follow some clues and find some pins around the school. For each one they get, they will be rewarded with points, and if a student ends up with no pins, they will be expelled immediately. Pang tells his friends that he is not interested in the exam, and he follows Teacher Palm. When they meet in the school's warehouse, Palm tries to stun Pang again, but Pang knows all of his tricks and only pretends to be stunned. The episode takes us through a flashback where it is revealed how Palm developed his abilities. The headmaster made him experiment on animals and later on humans, which initially resulted in Palm making some students mentally disabled. Palm's best friend tried to expose those experiments to the public, but Palm betrayed him and did the same thing to him because he was afraid his future would be ruined. Eventually, Palm makes peace with himself in the present and allows Pang and Wave to have the files they wanted. And the episode ends with Miss Lotta sneaking behind Ohm and injecting him with a serum which removes the student powers. Wave and Pang execute their plan to expose the school. They hack the screening and Pang walks in the meeting room, telling everyone about the headmaster's nasty experiments. But as it seems, the ministry already knows about it, and they clap for the headmaster because he has a way of developing his students' powers. Pang is caught by the guards, but he has a backup plan, and we see a flashback of where he orders Miss Lotta to inject the serum to all of the students, because that's what would hurt the headmaster the most. However, the serum is just a supplement of vitamins and doesn't remove one's powers. The headmaster reveals he has the same ability as Pang and Korn, with Mon lost their powers because he mind-controlled them. The headmaster wants to prove a point to Pang and calls all of the gifted students, telling them that he can change the school and make it so it treats everyone equally, if they are ready to exchange their powers for it. Nobody steps forward and the headmaster orders Palm to erase Pang's memories. The following days, Pang follows a normal routine until Wave drops a hint for him and he visits the computer room. Pang watches a video of himself where he states that if he is seeing this video, it means he failed to complete his plan. The things he says in the video make him remember who he is and what happened. By the end of the episode, he walks into the class of the gifted, where all the other students are waiting for him, and Wave tells him it took him such a long time to remember, hinting that the students are not going to give up on their efforts to expose the headmaster. Subscribe and hit that like button to help our channel grow. Turn the notifications on so you won't miss any of our new videos. Thanks for watching.